Great rising, beautiful ones. It's Thursday. I know you had a productive week. We're almost at the end. One more day. But if you love what you do, like I love what I do, it all feels the same, right? Because you're waking up every day doing something that fulfills you and is in service to others. Nothing better. There's nothing better. So today I wanted to come and drop a gem about resiliency and the power of seeing with your third eye and being able to soar beyond the uncertainty, right? It's about the resiliency that we have. Right now, many of us, not just in our country, not just in our city, not in our neighborhood and just in our houses, but all over the world, we're dealing with uncertainty. And in some countries, that uncertainty is one thing, and in other countries, it's another thing. But all of it is the same. It is the reality in front of you. And how do you maintain a sense of grounding and focus, even in the most dire times of uncertainty? We have people who have come before us, who have written books, who tell us the stories of facing amazing atrocities, right? And finding a way to hold on to their heart and soul, right? For not just survival, but for thriving. And I know you know what I'm talking about, right? Because living life on life's terms means that at some point, you face what seems like the insurmountable. If you live long enough, you come upon that time that challenges you. You come upon that time that makes you not recognize the things around you and sometimes not recognize yourself. I call those periods the dark periods because those periods are calling you to something greater. They are the whispers that have become the yell, that has become the scream. But if you pay attention, if you listen with your whole being, if you lean in and ask your higher power, what am I being invited to and what is the offer of this moment? I promise you, on the other end is growth and expansion. So for me, that dark period came, I guess, around 2001. It was after 9/11. I went to New York. I was living in Atlanta, went back up to New York, took a gig, came back, but could not find a job. Everything went dark. I mean, the whole circumstances were going dark. I couldn't get a job. Several degrees, speak another language, have worked since I was 14 years old. So this was foreign to me. I had attached a lot of my identity to my ability to take care of myself, and that was falling apart, to take care of myself through a job. Well, let me tell you, here's the good news. Don't cry for me, because let me tell you what happened. In that period, I lost everything. I had eviction notices on the door of my apartment every day. My car came to get repossessed, which right now I can tell you was a funny story because I always thought I had never had an experience of a repossession, but once I did, I was like, why do people seem surprised when their car gets repossessed? Because cars get repossessed when you don't pay the note. Okay, I digress. Anyway, during that period, so much was being stripped from me that I had previously identified myself. But hold on, because one of the ways you survive the insurmountable, the uncertainty, is to ground yourself in what do you know for sure. I don't mean like you know here. I'm talking about like you know here. And what I knew for sure, that I know, was that I did not believe in a God that intended for me to suffer. So if I experienced the appearance of suffering, that it must be an invitation to something else, because that is not of God in my view. So I anchored myself in that knowing, and I said, I don't know, God, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but where you're taking me, but I know that all this loss must mean something else. And I'm going to tell you what it meant for me. What it meant was I had to untether myself. Ooh, this is good. You better listen. You got to listen. I know you got a story just like it. I had to untether myself from the external, ego-driven identities. God was stripping me to my lowest common denominator to remind me that the things outside are resources, but only God is source. And if I stayed focused on that, I would be able to pull myself out of that. If I began to define myself besides something other than a job and a title and an ability to keep a job and where I lived and what I drive and all of these things that absolutely mean nothing, right? If I could define myself beyond those things, that I would find a joy that was unshakable. And that was the promise. So during that time, you know what I did? I wrote a book called Today is the Miracle. And I struggled that whole year. When I tell you, if I could tell you the stories, I don't have time to run the stories on the way that God showed up and showed out so that I could take care of myself. I ultimately lost my car. I ultimately moved out of my apartment, but I didn't go hungry not one day. I didn't go without a roof over my head. And more importantly, I gained an identity and a source of self that is untethered to anything outside of my being. It's a powerful place because when you are in that place, you never, ever feel dragged around by the external trappings. So I'm asking you today, where is that place for you? Whatever the uncertainty is in your life right now, ask yourself, lean in, like really ask yourself, what is this inviting me to? What is the offer of this moment? If I decide that this moment isn't about my suffering, then it must be about my expansion. And what is it inviting me to grow within myself? How is it asking me to shift? There's always a gem inside those moments. And once you get on the other side, the resiliency is unshakable. Be untethered, be unbothered, and be clear about what your purpose is. That's how you stay faithful, focused, and free, even in uncertainty. Yeah, that's the gem. This is a gem of the heart today. So I hope you receive it. I enjoyed talking to you. I always enjoy talking to you. You look good today. So have a great day. My name is Imani Evans, the change maker and barrier breaker. I wish you peace. I wish you love.